session 5 of Unit 5. In this session, we are going to look at projected materials, charts, pictures, and models. Let's proceed to the objectives. By the end of this session, you should be able to state at least 4 advantages of overhead projector over the other methods of presenting visual information, explain the meaning of charts, state at least 5 types of charts, explain how pictures could be used as chemistry teaching aids, and then state 3 conditions under which the chemistry teacher may be compelled to use models in teaching. Our first objective, projected materials. They are instructional media that require optical projection. They are classified into 1. Opaque projection. With an opaque projection, it does not need any real preparation of software. We have the still projected display materials. All visual display materials which do not incorporate movement are put under the still projected display materials. They do not show movement, or they are materials that we don't see movement in them. They are still. They require optical projector to show them. Here too we need projection. An example is the overhead projector. Okay, we also have the cine projection, and here we have motion picture projection. It is normally placed at the back of the class or viewers during projection. With the difference between the still projected display materials and the cine projection has got to do with the movement. One incorporates movement, one does not. The still does not incorporate movement. The cine incorporates movement. So when we're talking about the still projected display materials, we mentioned the overhead projector as one of them. Remember, we have a number of projectors. With the overhead projector, it beams images over the user's head. It is used to show diagrams, textual or graphical images on transparencies or acetate sheets. Here, though we are doing projection, whatever we project, we don't see movement in it, so it does not incorporate movement. It involves projecting an enlarged visual image of the original material onto the screen. And then also, sometimes you may prepare questions. Maybe in the lab you have the instructional sheets, which you have prepared in the form of slides on the acetate sheet. On the acetate sheet, you can use the overhead projector to project these materials. This is how it looks like. So if you have the prepared sheet, you place it here, and then when you place it here, the projector beams the image of it over the user's head onto, so you would have a screen. It could be part of the wall, but then this part, or you have the beam coming out from this part, so whatever image or text you have on the prepared sheet that you place here will be shown on the screen. So you place it here, and then it shows. Why we are saying it beams over your head is probably you may be somewhere here, so it is above you. The projection is somewhere above you. It doesn't mean that we'll place something on the user's head and it will beam the image over his head. But because of how it is, you may have the projection above you. So that's how the overhead projector looks like and how it operates. Advantages of the overhead projector over the others. It can play a useful role in expository teaching. It can also be used to show prepared or pre-prepared material, such as thus enabling teachers to build up banks of notes, diagrams, tables, etc. Like we said, here though we are not using to show movement, you can prepare your notes in the form of the sheets so that you have them, and when you want to use them you just place it on the projector screen and then it will project it for you. So you can have a bank of notes. You can prepare and then keep them. You prepare and keep them. The sheets are not these ordinary paper sheets that for some time it will get spoiled, but then in a form that you can keep for long, so you can reuse and you wouldn't have to be preparing materials anytime you need them. It requires no room darkening. Whether the room is dark or not, it can still project images or text that you can see very well. And then it is used exactly the same way as the chalkboard or marker board, but it is able to maintain eye contact with the learners. And even apart from that, it generates interest in students. You have prepared the notes, instead of writing you project it. It helps to maintain eye contact, and then students also develop interest. Next is the charts and wall charts. Charts refer to display on large sheets of paper or cloth carrying pre-prepared textual or graphical or pictorial information meant to be shown in the course of a lesson. With the types of charts, we can talk about picture charts, the time chart, table chart, graphs, flow chart, pie charts, etc. There are a number of them, but these are some of them that you can show to your students. With a wall chart is a term used to describe displays that are pinned to a wall or bulletin board to be studied by students on their own and at their own time. So that is the difference between an ordinary chart and the wall charts. Next is pictures. Pictures can be used to display gas works, locomotives, and portraits of great men in chemistry. These pictures, portraits, etc., can be used as teaching aids. Imagine teaching the Dalton's atomic theory. In fact, it wouldn't be bad showing pictures of Dalton. You are teaching something about the mass spectrometer. And in this case, pictures of the mass spec is very necessary. And so we can use these pictures as teaching aids. Try teaching mass spec without a picture to show the mass spec and see how students are going to struggle to understand how the mass spec operates. If you get the pictures to show to them, at least they would appreciate that it looks like this, and from here we are going to this part, from this stage we are going to that stage. Now consider the following when using pictures. Pictures should be bold, direct, and sufficiently large. You are going to use it to teach, and so whether you are going to paste it on a bulletin board or you are just going to show it on the board to students, it should be large enough so that your students can see. And it should not be overloaded with information. Alright, Sometimes you have the picture with some brief descriptions attached to the pictures. It shouldn't be something that it will be too much, or even in some cases you would prepare the pictures. You would be selecting some pictures on the same frame. Make sure that is not something that will be overloaded or it would carry too much information. Alright, next one is models. They are recognizable three-dimensional representation of real things or abstract concepts or systems. There are some of the concepts that you will not get the real thing to show to students. Something like the solar system. You will not get the solar system to show to students. And so you need something to represent it. In this case, using these models and stuff would help. They are useful in cases where the real representation is necessary. Maybe you are teaching about the internal organs of humans. Maybe this time around we are looking at something more biology. And here you cannot go for a real human being or something like that. But you can use models to show. In the same way, in chemistry, there are concepts that you need the real object, but it is hard getting. Yet, getting it or using it to present the concept will be very necessary. And so, in this case, you may consider getting a model to represent that object. They are also used when the real object or its drawing are not available. They are used when real objects are not possible to be sent to the classroom. Okay, sometimes the real object is too big or too small to be sent to the classroom. There are atomic models, there are models to show that of the atom. But look at the atom. Can you see with the naked eye? You cannot see. Okay, yet when you are teaching something about the atom, students should have a fair knowledge about it. And so you may consider some of these models. You may be teaching something in organic chemistry. You may be looking at structural formulas and other stuff, or you may even be teaching bonding. You cannot actually see bonds in chemical compounds. You cannot see, but still need to get a feel of how the real thing looks like. So you may have to present models to show how the carbon to carbon double bonds, how the carbon to carbon single bonds and stuff look like. You may need models to show the shape of to show tetrahedral shapes and all those stuff. You need models to do that. In which case, getting the real object to show is very hard. So these are some of the circumstances under which we use the models. We are ending the session with these self-assessment questions, and we'll meet again in the next session.